teams that has something to lose at this point, right?
At the end of the day, Apex is about adjusting. You could have gotten first place in your prior game, and you could die off drop in the next game afterwards. So it is not about this looking like a pretty clean-cut narrative. You have to still make decisions and make the right ones again and again and again. That's why it was so impressive to see the 3 out of 6. Will we see it this week as we kick off our PlayStation Tournaments Masters Circuit Slay Day number 2, Rain Day, and Girl on the mic. Happy to be with you. Everyone in Twitch chat and YouTube, you are all making this such a success. Over 100,000 of you, and I'm sure much more, were able to join us over last week, and we're excited to have you here talking to us in the chat. We are reading chat as well. We will be kind of mentioning some points. I know there's a lot of conversation to start having around how will this new patch impact Apex Legends. There's an heirloom that's being shown around. I was seeing a couple of tweets on some Valkyrie animations from Suzaku, I believe that heirloom is called. The amazing halberd type I think accompaniment now Valkyrie can bring into the skies. And Girl, just to kind of geek out a little bit about how cool Apex is, that's one of those heirlooms that is so big, it's going to make a big visual impact whenever you are playing or we're watching Valkyries from now on.
Yeah, I wonder how that'll play into effect, or does it play into effect of her hitbox or her vision when she's walking around with it, right? True. But yeah, it's definitely going to be some cool finishers, some cool melee type fights, and that's going to be awesome to see.
I know pretty soon you're going to have Bangalore with, her knife and the halberd from Valkyrie, and they're just basically going to be doing like a sword fight or something at the end of the day with all of these heirlooms. It's actually getting to be a very cool interaction to something that in Apex meleeing, especially off drop, is such a key part of the basic strategy of the game. But it looks a lot better when you've got, a visual accompaniment like what Valkyrie's new heirloom is. Of course, check that out if you haven't. I'm sure you'll see some Valkyries running around with it on PlayStation as of now. As we're just getting ready to get into the game, let's kind of open up the conversation on the patch, because we just got one. It's not the most amount of changes for things that I think in competitive we're going to see constantly, but there are a couple of really big changes for the entirety of the game that have to do with the weapons. We see the wingman and the car go into the crafting loot, and we see the Rampage and the Arthur one come back onto floor loot. What are your thoughts on how that's going to just open things back up or kind of change some of the styles that we're starting to see be so dominant, Girl?
So some people are really happy that the wingman is in the crafter now, but I'm not sure if they realize that, hey, now the wingman is accessible as long as you land on the crafting machine. So you might see some contests going for those drop spots because some players don't like playing without a wingman. So we might see some more 50-50s later on, maybe in our seasonal final for that wingman. That'll be exciting to see. And the car SMG, actually, there's been a lot of talk going around, and the car paired with the wingman is called the controller loadout. So you're definitely going to see these PlayStation players potentially land and start crafting. Yeah.
I think that's really an interesting way to look at it, because in one way, it's not as easily accessible off drop without taking a specific action. But when you take the specific action, you can guarantee that it will occur. So that's almost a new way to think about how much more we might be seeing this, especially due to the impact crafters have started to gradually have in the Apex Legends scene. It's different to see all these unique elements of, I would say, developer additions to the game having an impact in competitive and players finding ways to utilize them. Tridents have been great, but I think we haven't seen Olympus enough competitively, and they make a big deal on Stormpoint, but a few teams use them more often than others. Some teams ignore most of them, and on World's Edge, they're completely negligent. But crafting, everywhere you go, in every game of Apex Legends, that's become a huge part of the playstyle.
It really has, and it really helped with the med situation where some teams didn't have enough meds. That's why Watson was utilized a lot back in the day. Watson was utilized a lot because, hey, I don't have enough shield cells to survive, or hey, I don't have enough bats to survive. Yeah, go ahead.
Just a heads up, we are on a server that had an issue, so we're just going to reset that lobby. I know we started the game. We will be right back into it. But, girl, you were just saying something interesting. I want you to finish that thought on Watson and kind of why she was so valuable based on what the crafters are doing now.
Yeah, so sometimes people do still play Watson in competitive, and that's because they like to rotate early, so they don't have enough shield cells or batteries. But if teams take time to craft those batteries and shield cells, then they can play late and they can play more aggressive and do what they want. So Watson was utilized back in the day because the loot pool didn't have that many meds, and it was very focused on rotating early. Now with Valkyrie in play, there are so many different play styles, which makes it unique to watch. And that's kind of how the crafter comes into play with the shield batteries. And medkits can also really help you stay alive in zone for a very long time. Even in zone 3, sometimes I've crafted like 20 medkits and I'm in zone 3 hitting it after 3 to 4 ticks.
Yeah, and that's where we see a lot of teams decide they want to rotate. And it has to kind of also transition to Valkyrie's ability to rotate you quickly, because you can stay in a crafter for much longer knowing that you don't have to run out of zone and survive. And you can use Valkyrie's Skyward Dive to be able to get back into safety knowing, all right, we have this long and we can get a med kit while we're doing it and getting more shield batteries, and then we can Skyward Dive out of here and still be safe. That is not something that's always been available. There's been these interesting little cascading impacts that have changed each other with Valkyrie, with Watson, with crafting coming in. And, of course, we're seeing more and more now of how that can stabilize some of the weapons that we will see. So maybe we'll see more wingmen and cars heading into it as well. I like talking about the wingman car, though. We have seen players start to say this is not just the preferred controller loadout. This is maybe the strongest loadout in the game. And it goes back to why the wingman has been so successful forever. But the car has just, to me, taken a trajectory I didn't expect. I didn't think the car would become the weapon over the R99. I thought that would never, ever happen. The R99 would stay at the top in that SMG category forever. I mean, are you surprised at how just impactful that weapon has become and kind of why that loadout has been so successful these last seasons?
Yeah, I never really thought of it that way because the R99 was used so much. And I think
Yeah.
they nerfed it, right? So the car does more damage. And that's possibly why, because you can use 2 types of ammo for it and it does more damage. Obviously, it has more recoil and it's harder to control. But it's all about what does the most damage because these pro players will choose the best gun.
That's right.
Simple as that.
That's right. And I think from experience we've seen it shift, but when they find it stays pretty consistent, and that's where we typically see after a couple of seasons some adjustments. Why the R301 and Rampage kind of went out. Actually, the Rampage, famously a weapon that introduced itself and was a bit odd. People liked it, but weren't quite sure whether it would usurp something like a Spitfire, which was pretty consistent at that time. Was it better than having a 30-30 because it kind of fired that way? Did you run an R301 with it, or how do you kind of treat that weapon as a primary, secondary? Where's your shotgun go? Albrelelli, we talk about him a lot, kind of championed that weapon becoming the weapon that you need to pay attention to, that people are sleeping on. And slowly but surely it became a staple in that season for Apex Legends Competitive. And now the R301, I think, has been the weapon that, with the flatline going into the crafter, with the longbow and kind of taking an absence in some ways, and the R301 kind of just staying great, it almost became the front runner in terms of the weapon everyone decided was the best weapon to use. So that's back. So is the Rampage. What's the impact of that? Because I think we're going to start seeing R301 back again a lot more than we used to see.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing Ranked a lot, and I've been crafting R301 if I haven't played Havoc. So Havoc and R301 have been my main weapons, but Rampage has definitely... I don't know if it's going to be as good as it was before, but people will pick it up just because it's there, and it's good. Not a lot of people are going to expect a thermite inside of it, and then you just shoot them through the door. You break down the door, you shoot them while they're camping behind. Not a lot of people are going to expect it anymore because it's been kind of out of play for so long. So that'll definitely be good. And Stormpoint is one of those long range type maps where you want a sniper or you want an assault rifle. And that's kind of why car works really well, because it's really good for short range, but you're not in so many bubble fights anymore. So,
That's right.
So it can work at medium range, it can work at short range, and it's just really easy to swap to if you're out of ammo in your R31 or if you're out of ammo in your wingman. Hey, I'm going to swap, and boom, let's get this team wipe.
Well, we are still waiting for our game one to kick off. We had to restart the lobby, but we're getting back into that as soon as we can. Obviously, if you're joining us, just a quick run through of kind of how we do things over here. We have our format as standard. It is the trios format for Apex Legends. No control this time around. Sorry, guys. But I am very happy it is back. I got to talk about that maybe a little bit later. 20 teams, 6 games, that's the guarantee. Looks like we've got 12 in our lobby right now for EU. We'll see what North America brings down across later this afternoon. But of course, girl, the format standard, so is the point system. And if you're familiar with competitive Apex, you know how this thing works.
Yes, you do. It's 12 points for first place, and then for 9 points for second place. Third place, you get 7 points. Fourth place, you get 5 points. Fifth place, you get 4 points. Sixth and seventh, you get 3 points. And this is only for placement, by the way. You get an additional point for each elimination. So the more people you kill, if you kill 9 people, that's the same as getting up to second place with 0 kills. So you got to add up your kill points, add up your placement points to get your total points in the end to see if you are at the top of your lobby. Obviously, you don't want to be one of the first teams to die, because that'll just put you on a significant disadvantage.
And it's interesting because it always gets down to really who wins games, because these eliminations tend to go with teams who are having the capability to win the game and be the last team standing. It's one of those correlations that when a team wins 2 or 3 of a 6-game lobby, you almost guarantee they're taking number 1 in points, whether they were the team slaying out or whether the team prioritized in first place. If you are in first place, though, it's a little bit of something extra in your pockets. $600 for first, goes all the way down to $150 for third and fourth. But the seasonal final seeds, that's really the big thing that these teams are fighting for, because that's in a month from now. We're going to be looking at the best of the best who have been joining us throughout these slay days, competing against each other. That lobby is one I'm already excited about. And this one, too. As it is, girl, you know, we got some teams we've seen before, some new teams, though, that we haven't seen.
Yeah, we've got Seiwon Terrors. I think they're a new team. We've got Red Fade, Savages, NAG. We got the Boys. And we got some familiar teams like TXC, Clippers, Baguette, ESL, AXF, F. We've seen them, and you know what? It's all about doing a little bit better than you did last time, or feeling a little bit better. Maybe your outcome or the amount of points you get this week might not be more than last week, but did you guys improve as a team? Are you guys feeling more comfortable? How's your strategy going into the seasonal finals? It's all really about, you know, your journey, but also your preparation for that finals game in July.
It's not like these teams haven't already started making some waves in the Apex community. Remember, we had a great moment featuring Sarah Sutcliffe TV of TXC, and it didn't end there. We saw that retweeted on Twitter, showed some love. I saw you and her interacting, girl, and I heard she might have even popped into the stream over the last couple of weeks since we've seen her.
Yeah, she's come in to say hi. She's been tuning in. And maybe I taught her something for today. Who knows? But yeah, no, I'm going to be super excited to watch their team play, especially hoping that they're a trio for the most part, because they've done so well in these 2v3 situations in our Slay Day #1. And if you missed that, you can go back into the VOD and check it out later on. It's on in the Twitch VODs there. But let's check them out in real time here today on our Slay Day #2 and see how they end up working out today.
Excited for us to kick this thing off. I know Storm Point is a map that many people have a love-hate relationship with. That's what happens when you go one way or the other in terms of a design decision. And they went not just big, they went really, big on this one. It is a massive map, but that's why personally I love it. It's just a change of pace that sometimes you need when you play a game for thousands of hours like you and I have in Apex Legends. And it's one of those things too that I think when you look at where we're going to go from here in terms of competitive, I'm very excited to see, yes, today, but where do we go with introductions back to Kings Canyon, Olympus getting added potentially, if that will ever get added? Will we see a new map before we see an adjustment here? It's kind of been a big year for Apex Legends Esports because it's, you know, the first time we even had 2 maps to choose from competitively. So I don't know, the richness of even having 3 in the future is exciting as we get a look at some of these lineups here. And girl, you know, I saw one of your favorite Legends in there. I'm not sure if you know what team it was, but Pathfinder being played.
I missed it. Who's playing Pathfinder? Oh, I also do like crypto as well. I've learned crypto not too long ago. I feel like not for more than 2 seasons. And crypto is a really fun legend. If you're playing with 2 really aggressive players that just like to W key and go for the forefront, well, playing crypto, you can sit back, relax, pop out your drone, do a little EMP, your teammates get the kills, you get the free assist. It's just great, honestly. If you're...
You get to be cameraman for a little while, right? You just watch the action. It's like your sideline camera for a high stakes battle there. And just, nice move. Oh, good shots, guys. Yeah, good luck. Let me know when you want me to hit my EMP. I'll see you to pick up the loot when they're all done, huh?
And it's really important for, you know, having those aggressive teammates. And sometimes they don't like to die, but they end up dying out of position or something like that. And that's where the drone comes in handy because you can recover banner and become a full squad again. You're going to be, you know, down on loot or whatnot, but it makes for a good comeback story as well.
Well, we all love a story. I certainly do as well, as we see the story of where our first zone will be in that kind of central area. I'm really, really interested to see if there have been any adjustments to what we've noticed as far as zones, because there was a moment where the zones kept pulling Gale Station, Shipfall, Launchpad, Fish Farms for entire days, and really started to become, since it was the first time we saw Storm Point competitive, where most people expected to play. And there is still that kind of shift towards the middle, towards the south. The amount of circles you'll see at Lightning Rod actually finish in that northeast side, the very northeast, where you see Taylor Terranez and our squad from Baguette ESL. They're landing where G2 Esports lands, and it's a win if the circle goes there, but it just rarely goes there. So you kind of take that risk. And Scoobs, I see Color Bucket. He chose the Pathfinder girl. Walk me through it.
All right, so Pathfinder is not typically chosen in competitive in any map other than this one. And because it's such an open map, Pathfinder has a lot of playground, honestly. I guess that's how I would put it. He can grapple to a bunch of different rods. He could take high ground. He's kind of what Wraith used to be, in where she could go and get angles and come back to her team safely. That's kind of how Pathfinder works here in Stormpoint. He has a big hitbox, so the building fights are a little bit tougher. But hey, with a good player, you can make anything happen. And there's a lot of open area and open area fights, so he does come in handy then.
Yeah, less buildings on this one for the most part. As a couple of shots get returned with a lot more. Diaz under trouble. Can't go to the right there. He's definitely going to get pushed, and he knows it. Calling to his team, hopefully having that conversation. And the hype from Neon. I like the decision-making. You don't bite off more than you can chew, because aggression can turn quickly your offensive pressure into one where you need to shift onto defense. At the drop of the hat, R301 back on the loot floor, and Galafuro trying to make use of it. There's the shield battery. As the Carlotes falls as well. So ex-Outsiders getting a knock on this squad. They've been able to kind of recover from Diaz's push and find their way back into it.
Oh, really nice shots coming in from Meta there as Neon decides to put in a 10-second Phoenix kit. See if they could do anything off of that, but it doesn't sound like they're pushing up or trying to take advantage of that damage. So the are going to get a... And they're currently Bloodhound scan. That's what the Wraith is doing, trying to take off angles here. 120 damage with the car. Very nice shot. But ends up going down to Manda there from the repeater.
Wow, incredible to see a repeater win a trade like that, especially after the damage that the car hit. Must have been a couple of headshots in a row, and that's just kind of the double-edged sword of that weapon. It is not usually going to win in a close-range situation, but it can. Galafura wants to press the issue. He's lost Diaz already, so the Gibraltar is down. Has to play inside, and now wants to just get to Neon to support. I think they're calling off, and it's TXC. Ben. They know how to third party on this one. We saw it plenty of times last week, and they look like they are going to try to be cleaning up outsiders. It's just one shot away for Neon, but that Wraith has made it around the corner. We'll see how aggressive Raymond wants to be. This is exactly how last week started, too. Raymond hunting down, after a third party, a team, one by one, just like he was James Bond or John Wick or something like that. Just taking down enemies on a list. We'll see if Neon can get away this time.
I don't know if they have a scan character with them, but Neon is in a good save position. Now we only have 47 seconds to get Gibby's banner, so have to go soon. I don't know if that's recoverable, as TXC might be looting those banners as of now, but now on to Scoops. They ended up getting double purple and gold off the bat in Down Beast, which goes to show that Down Beast is one of the best loot spots in this map currently. But they haven't seemed to get a fight in yet with that good loot, and that's kind of unfortunate when you're up that high. They're on to Nag, getting a kill on Jerry. Remember there being a Jerry on day number 1, but I believe this is a different Jerry?
Well, why? It could be a different Jerry. Jerrys are all unique all around the world. I'm not going to judge. If it's a new Jerry or the same Jerry, we're giving Jerry love either way. But, I can't say that Nag is a team that we really know much about as well. So I'll be keeping a close eye on Girl. That's Nag coming in, Zero TV. Vortex will slay you, and El Mostro no legit. And so already with a gold on their side and on Scoop's side. Scoops, the team consisting of Stefan, Fabian, and Burin, they said they don't really prefer team composition. And playing probably the only Pathfinder here, one of the rare Pathfinders in competitive, and that kind of makes sense. And that could just end up being something that actually goes well for them, the ability to adjust a little quicker. But now there's going to have to be some adjustments from Zero. He goes into the void and using the dimensional rift, he's got to get out of there. The gravity lift already hit for the horizon. So Almostro no legit and Zero off their cues. Maybe have a Bloodhound scan, but they're running out of resources here as the pressure is mounting. And Nag is going to have to find a way to stabilize. Sometimes offensive pressure here is the only way to do it. So they've got to hit some headshots, but Almostro no legit getting hit up and has to break for a shield battery. So this is looking tough.
Great shots by Zero as their teammate was getting shot there. Putting that extra cover fire really helps in situations like this once your teammate gets tagged for over 100. But they're looking to be like a stalemate here. Maybe wondering if another team is coming from behind. The zone is coming in. We might see a Valgo here. Can we get a beam as they fly into the air? Oh, they're still getting shot at. I think there was another team.
I feel like maybe Zero missed an opportunity to shoot their Girl, or just being conservative, didn't want to poke his head out too fast.
From what I heard, it looked like Zero got shot. Oh yeah, there was another team, and I think that's why Zero didn't want to track them while they're flying in the air, because it would have been a waste of ammo, as this other team could have beamed Zero while Zero was standing still trying to beam in the sky, right? So it was a good idea to take the Trident and get away. It's a good idea for all three teams to kind of stabilize and not fight, as they would have ended up getting thirded.
Scoobs underneath with Headshot Dandy, Color Bucket, and Stefan. Clippers on the high ground as well. One of the things I loved about what the Clippers brought to the table the other day is their Newcastle play from Z Stereo. We're going to see more of it here. Valkyrie certainly getting shot at. Bullets not connecting much for Jacob. But Jazz and Z Stereo gave it a solid effort. 8 out of 10. Unfortunately, not quite perfection. But as you can start to see where we're heading in this game, it's going to be a Western Circle end. And no one really in that zone quite yet. In fact, we still have a few teams not only in the middle, but to the far east of this map. Going to have to make their way there after a lot of teams have already been inside. Here's the XFF team in your screen getting eliminated on the way. So a treacherous journey, as we can already see.
Oh, that's one of the worst feelings, is getting killed when you're actually in the storm, trying to survive. You're just a rat. You're trying to get yourself some placement points by staying alive, but that one didn't end up working out for them, and they took 11th place, so they do get a few placement points, and hopefully they can get a good recovery game next game. And now, yeah, it is tough.
Just to start that way, I mean, now you got to wait another 20 minutes till this game is over, and then you got to wait to load into the lobby. There's a real practical element of keeping yourself mentally focused when you have such a rough start after so much prep, and then you have to wait for a long time before you get back out there. So game 2 going to be important for them. Here's the team we've been following along as well. Mostro no legit, Vortex, Nag, and they're fighting against Clippers, who are holding this high ground, who have the Newcastle, which is such a good position here, right, Girl? Because of the mobility of the defenses. Even if they start getting angles on the left like El Mostro's trying to do, that Newcastle ult could just be put down and block it all off.
Yeah, that's really true. You don't put it down too early, as none of these teams are in the zone, and it's going to be pulling in less than 10 seconds. So we're going to have to see them rotate and camp up. They're actually in the zone. There's a few buildings left to play there, and we're just going to see them rotate along right now. Red Fade, though, on the other side of the map. I think they're kind of in a centralized building here. They do not have a Watson, they do not have a Caustic, but they have a Newcastle. And look at that, just block off the entire door.
I mean, that's kind of cool. I mean, it must be designed to be the exact height of one of our doors in Apex Legends. So really cool interaction. If you need some home improvement, call Newcastle. I'm not sure if he charges more than your everyday contractor, though. He does bring his own equipment, so that's helpful.
Free doors as long as hired.
One of those things that you really don't need until you need it, right? Most people don't need a door, but when you need a door, boy, oh boy, you want one fast. There's the mobile shield from Newcastle. Some of the benefits of that. Great angle there to play through. But headshot Dandy, did he bite off more than he could chew? Gonna get a quick shield cell. And head back in with the height from Color Bucket, just showcasing why the Pathfinder is so successful. And there's a care package dropping to the left too, which could pay dividends here. We saw Krabers in almost every in-game circle of Slay Day #1, Girl, and it looks like Headshot Dundee might just be going for it, or he might be going for the gravity lift. Yeah, he's trying to get out of here. Headshot Dundee's like, I'm done. This is enough. And for good reason. Almost was taken out and still being pursued.
Take a look at the portal that Dundee made on the gravity canyon, but it ends in the air, so I think that's why their teammates do not want to take that. That's kind of like a little bait to put you out in the water. But Stefan, finding a G7 scout, do they want to take it is the question.
You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful on that one. I think he's trying to set up some fun. Maybe a little summer water slide, water park drop. But I do not think that that is something the rest of the lobby would have too much fun with, especially with Color Bucket staying on the height as the Pathfinder. We have got 8 squads left, ladies and gentlemen, and we are heading into round 3, minute and 30. See more Skyward Dives on your screen. Back at ESL is the team we've talked about before, and we're going to keep talking about them as long as they stay in contention to win their first game after winning 3 of 6 in our first Slay Day, and that would be kind of phenomenal. A great story of Taylor and Perry Terrens, and I like to call that I like to call Perry because I just feel it flows so well with that kind of play style that they have. It's fun, it's quick, but it's efficient and effective. And they don't do more than they need to do. That's why you'll see them in almost every final circle. They are already there, but the high ground currently looking as we are continuing to see teams vie for that final spot. And for those just joining with us, we've got 12 in the lobby today. We're going to be playing 6 games and be deciding the winner after that.
Okay, thank you.
And of course, a lot of lineup differences, and I think maybe that's what, if you're a new player watching Apex Legends right now and you're checking in on what is happening, you're going to see Newcastles and Pathfinders and Horizons, and to me, that's just more information on what works for you, because you're deciding, is this the type of playstyle as a player that I can really be effective with?
You can scan this area.
And of course, that is a question that we all have to answer through putting in the work and the time. These players have done so. Scoob's a team that we saw last week.
Let's scope this quadrant out here.
Very, very flexible with their lineups. And the G7 Scout in the hand of King Stefan. What can they do with that in the 3X? A lot of patience here, girl, but a Skyward Dive still in their hand. And Color Bucket still with a zip line. It's unique to see this combination, but you're right, gives them a lot of play area in this playground to really grab height and position themselves, unlike other teams can, especially quickly with that zip.
Yes, sir. And now they're hiding in here. I don't believe it's even done, so they could even start that armory if they really wanted to. But where is this going to end? It's gonna show here in a second. Oh, look at that circle. So it's gonna end near mill on the mountain. So having that big rock is really good, but this is gonna end in the open. Now all of these teams that we see in a building will have to rotate later on. So having a legend that works well, like a Gibraltar, a Bangalore, those legends are going to excel. But this end zone in particular is going to favor the team on the big rock outside. Most teams are going to realize that, hey, we're going to have to rotate. We're not near end zone, so we might as well fight, get some kills, an extra placement point if we can. And here we go with Taylor and the car SMG trying to get some shots on the inside. Getting shot from a charge rifle, though. Outside, there's just so many teams nearby. It's going to be real difficult.
Well, but
to get a clean 3v3 in.
I'd say that's about the best looking car you could have. And only thing missing is the blue barrels on both of those weapons, but light ammo aplenty. Maybe not for some, like Imperial Howl is the meme heard around Apex Legends. He always needs light ammo. It's a reason for it. These weapons you're gonna need more, especially if you're poking consistently, which is different than how you would play in Apex. You're not going to be sitting in one zone if you're just running pubs. You're going to be moving around. You're going to be taking fights. You'll probably win your fight or lose. And if you win, you'll get your ammo back. But a lot of these players, they find that position for that in-game, and they sit there. And so the resources that they bring to that have to last maybe 2 to 3 fights before they're able to really finish off an opponent, move into their space. So it's a unique thing that maybe it doesn't reflect the way you might be playing Apex. But I'll tell you what, the Carlotes on aim assist, Euro throws out a Bangalore ultimate. It's going to be Rolling Thunder for the rest of the lobby. What can they do off of it? Because the ring is closing and there's less and less space. But I wouldn't like to see what I just saw there. Sarah Sutcliffe and the rest of TXC still alive and well, hiding behind the center building and holding it down. Baguette ESL repositioning here, and I like this spot. They've got to somehow challenge high ground because they're going to get shot from both angles here, and so trying to find a little bit of safety. Can they just hide in this ridge? They are sitting ducks for sure, and Clippers kind of knows it, and so maybe a dimensional rift coming in as the R301 already on the floor for the first time since the patch just a couple of hours ago and doing work like it's done every single time it's been used in high-level Apex Legends. And it'll continue to do so here as we head into our final teams here battling it out. And the push still happening from Clippers.
I can already hear from Baguette ESL, like, what's the team on the rock doing? They're not shooting at the Clippers right now. What is going on? The team on the rock isn't looking downwards on this side. I think they're focusing on all the other teams near the buildings on the low ground. So worked well for Clippers to play aggressive on that, got themselves a couple kills, and they're just getting extra placement the longer that they survive. And now they start looking down on them, and Baguette ESL are probably crying in the comms right now, like, why now and not earlier when they were killing us?
It's just so unfortunate because those aren't the things you can't plan. Those are the things that take you to Twitter after a game going, why? You could plan for every decision, but when someone makes a decision that doesn't make sense, but you know, those are the little things that you got to talk to both sides about. Maybe they were focused on something completely different. Maybe they were worried about interacting themselves. Maybe they don't have ammo. If you saw in the finals of our biggest championship, look here, he's got only one bullet. He just ran out of his heavy ammo there, but it's going to be 294 for the R301 and the Fuse Knuckle Cluster. That is going to do work. This should probably be a down because you can see it's already on Flesh and only 7 seconds left before the Knuckle Cluster comes back. They've also got a Mother Load, which will be that Ring of Fire Johnny Cash would be proud of if they have an opportunity to use it, but they've just got Headshot Dundee back in action on the side of Scoops, who are playing below them. Trying to get all the loot back, going to take a lot of storm damage here. Ooh, almost spent a little too much time crouching, and now is going to have to move in as round 5 is closing. 4 squads left. And you can see Chaka and Jazz taking so much action, but a Dimensional Rift will put them on the great side of the map here. So they'll be able to face off against the team. Sawan Terrors on the height, and this height will no longer be working to their advantage. They're going to throw the defensive bombardment as they slowly but surely slide down, and they still have angles. I thought they'd have to fully drop. One does drop, though, and it's jerking in, and he's already going down. Color Bucket and Scoops make sure of that. I'm not sure if that was a mistake from Jerkinen or not, but ran straight into Scoops, who are now very content to be fighting one solo here on that right side, and a team on the left with a team, I think, of 2 on that left, and it's just turned into 1. Everyone has had to move because of the circle and has been getting shot by Clippers. We're back to see Stereo, Chaka, and Jazz holding it down for the win, and they're going to be going up against Scoops to try to clean it all up.
Yeah, and they're pushing forward on that. They notice that it's now just 2 squads left in action, so they're trying to take as much space as possible. They get the first knock here, and this is looking like a Clippers win, folks. They're trying to hunt the last one down. Where did they end up going? To the low ground. Okay, here we go. Shots coming through. PK coming in action, and all shots just hitting from the Clippers. They're going to take our game number 1 on Slay Day number 2.
What performance. The Clippers make it through. We talked about how impressive Jazz, Chaka, and Z-Stereo were, our main Newcastle team, showing the value of it. And Z-Stereo as well, saying, I got paid for some contract work. I put a door up in the middle of this game. What did you guys do? I mean, at this point, it's been great to see the Clippers come out strong. And this is definitely a Team 2 girl in contention. They missed game number 1 last time, and they showed up from games 2 through 6 and were competing for the first place finish. That's how successful they were. Now they're here for all 6 games in Slay Day number 2. It's starting to feel like maybe Clippers could be vying for that first place at the end of the day, and Baguette ESL is going to have to watch themselves.
Yeah, they ended up getting 2nd place in Slay Day number 1, and they're already off to a better start. So, hey, there's no complaints from them here, as they took a lot of kills that game as well. We've got Nag going in for their first kill on Jerry there, with 12 squads remaining. We've got AXFF team, Biohazard trying to get banners, but dying in that zone. Unfortunate event for them. Hard to get that recovery there, and Clippers playing the outside. Earlier they got Gibraltar bombardmented, and they survived that with their comp, so that was very impressive in itself. 7 squads remaining. A lot of the gold death boxes inside of that house.
And there was a moment where I think the team on height, you'll have to excuse me, I don't recall which name they were, but they were certainly a team that had the opportunity to apply the most pressure onto Clippers for a moment, and it just didn't happen. The switch was allowed to happen. They found better positioning through the Wraith portal, which was a fantastic use of Jazz's Dimensional Rift to get them into the other side of play. And I got to say, there's a lot of things that could have gone the way in that game to make it hard, but it just shows you in these open spaces, in Storm Point,